happening here. I feel like, when you're. My name is Will Goodon, and I'm the Minister of Housing for the Manitoba Métis Federation, and I've been with my president for a long time here. And when I was working for him, it seemed like there was always these achievements happening, and I think all of those achievements are going to be eclipsed today. Honestly, I think that's truly the case. But before we get into the meat of the matter of what we're doing here, as always, we open our events, our ceremonies with an opening prayer, and today is no different. And it is absolutely my pleasure to introduce my friend, my elder, my mentor, Linda St. Cyr, to help us open today's ceremony with a prayer. Please, everyone, stand for the opening prayer, and then afterwards we will start the agenda. Thank you so much, Linda. I think the connection that we have to our culture is absolutely, there's nothing that we wouldn't be a people without that. But we want to say thank you to our elder for that opening prayer. It was, I think, sets the stage for the amazing event that's going to be happening here today. Just before we get started here, I want to let everybody know that we're live streaming, from my understanding, on Facebook. We're also going to be live streaming on YouTube. You can go back and check it out after. For those of you who are here, for those of you who are at home, we welcome you to our event here as well. I'm going to be introducing our fiddle player one more time here in just a minute, but I just wanted to real quickly introduce our head table here, who are going to participate as well. We have one guest who is live streaming with us from her home in Toronto. So we will start with her and say hello to Minister Carolyn Bennett. I believe she can see you all on the big screen there. And then from my right to left here, and I'm going to be in no particular order, and someone's going to give me heck after because I didn't do protocol properly, but from my right, we have our national president, Clément Chartier, who will be speaking to you in a few minutes here. Our friend and my mentor. Really appreciate all the time he spent teaching me, even though I'm a hard student to teach. And then my cousin, who is also my vice president, who is also the minister of a lot of things at the Manitoba Métis Federation, including natural resources and citizenship, Minister Leo LaPlante. And the next guy, I can't quite remember his name. He is your president, my president, all of our friend, President David Chartrand of the Manitoba Métis Federation. And next to me is Minister Dan Vandel, who is a Métis citizen and is also our minister here in Manitoba, Minister of Northern Affairs. And beside him, we have Minister Jim Carr, who is the Special Representative for the Prairies. All of these gentlemen to my right here have a lot of different titles, and I'm probably forgetting a few of them here, so I apologize for that, but we're really thankful that they're here. Beside Minister Carr, we have Kevin Lamoureux. Kevin is the Parliamentary Secretary to the Queen's Privy Council, the Government House Leader, and a few other things besides that. He's got a very busy plate. And the fellow at the end there is probably needs no introduction either. He's all of our friend Terry Duguid, who is the Parliamentary Secretary for the Status of Women and Family, Children and Social Development. Is that correct, Terry? Not quite? Close enough. So my apologies for that. So with that being said, we are going to get into the agenda, but one of the things that we have that we're going to be seeing today, and why it's so important for us to be celebrating this, I call it a historic achievement today, is that we wouldn't be able to do this if we weren't a nation, if we weren't a people, if we weren't, if we didn't have our ancestors who fought for us, for our very existence. We wouldn't have that, and part of that is the culture. And part of that is the music that we celebrate. And one of, you know, I don't think there's any one song that determines and says the Métis culture rather than the Red River Jig. And I am very proud to welcome Michael back to the stage, and he is going to perform for us here, the Red River Jig. Please, everyone, help me welcome Michael Audette. Right on. That gets your feet going. The blood juices running here a little bit, and I know that there was a couple people dancing out there, but the rest of you were chair dancing, which is what I'm good at too. So without further ado, I want to welcome our first guest speaker. As I said before, he has committed his entire life to the betterment of the Métis Nation, and I think a lot of what we're celebrating today is because of the hard work that he has done for so many years. And it is, again, my honor to welcome, to introduce my friend, my mentor. Not sure he's David Chartrand's speech. I was going to steal it and then use it, but thought better of it at the last minute. But it is a very great honor for me to welcome and to introduce to you our national president, Clem Chartier.
Thank you, Will. Thank you, Elder Linda. St. Cyr Sarek, for your beautiful prayer, very inspirational, and a very great prayer for such a special day. Welcome, ministers, and my good friend Jim, it's great to see you. Fellow Métis, today marks a significant milestone in the development of the Métis Nation, the political developments of the Métis Nation. Last year was the 150th anniversary of the Métis Nation joining this great country we know as Canada. Unfortunately, we couldn't celebrate it the way that we had wished to, but nevertheless, it was a very significant year for us. 151 years ago, at this location, President Louis Riel and his government welcomed the draft of the Manitoba Act, which made possible our entry into Confederation as a proud people with what we thought was a great future. And they gathered here by the hundreds outside in some 40 below degree weather. Cold didn't mean anything to them. Their hearts were happy and warm with those developments. Unfortunately, we were greeted by a 2.5-year reign of terror, which saw many of our citizens from the Red River moving west, joining existing Métis settlements or creating new ones. At that time, the population of the Métis Nation was centered here at the Red River, some say up to 90%. So it is here at the Red River, what is now the province of Manitoba, where the Métis Nation flourished, where our people in vast majority lived. It is here that President Riel and his provisional government negotiated our future. Unfortunately, many of those promises were breached, and over the years we suffered greatly. But today, and not maybe ironically, but thankfully, under the current president, President David Chartrand, and you, his cabinet, and the Manitoba Métis community, and the Métis leadership at all levels, from the local level to the regional to the provincial, have stood strong, have stood for the Métis Nation, and has protected the integrity, the citizenship, and the homeland of the Métis Nation in the face of a lot of political suppression or attempted suppression by some to keep us down, to in fact open us up to attacks from outside of the Métis Nation, to have people from outside the Métis Nation join our leadership and take us to where we don't want to go. We can never have non-Métis people involved in the government of the Métis Nation. Today, as I leave the office of the Métis National Council in a number of weeks, as the founder of the Métis National Council in March of 1983, our raison d'etre was to secure land base and self-government. You and your government here in this province the birthplace of the Métis Nation, are well on your way to securing that. So in March of 1983, we said, never again will we allow any non-Métis people to speak on our behalf. Never again will we let anybody influence us in this respect, whether it's the federal government, provincial government, or non-Métis governments that call themselves Métis. Never again, we said, will we let that happen. And I'm very, very honored to be here today to witness your government, your president, signing this significant self-government recognition agreement, which is going to lead us, and I say us, meaning the Métis Nation as a whole in Western Canada, forward. Because from this day forward, we can say the Métis National Council has got us here, but it's now up to our government to lead us forward into the future as a people, as a nation, intact in our citizenship, intact in our homeland, and again, intact in where our future will be taking us for our future generations. And I believe firmly that your government is going to be not only the catalyst, but the protector of the Métis Nation. And from this spot where Riel and the hundreds stood 151 years ago, this is where we're going to rebuild from the inside outwards, and forget about these distractions from Ontario and BC. We, the historic Métis Nation, the descendants of the historic Métis Nation, will succeed, we will survive, and I look forward to today hearing this president, President Chartrand, speaking where 151 years ago President Riel spoke. Thank you.
Thank you very much, President Chartier. Is the sound on? I can't hear very good. It's okay. Sorry about that. Just it was a little bit louder before. My apologies. Thank you very much, President Chartier. Those excellent words. And as I said before, the idea of protecting the Métis Nation has been around for a long, long time. But President Chartier has made it his life's mission to do just that. And I think we owe him another round of applause for helping us get to where we are today. I'm looking at the agenda here, and normally the next fellow I introduce is speaking last, but there's obviously some discussion that happened when they developed the agenda, but it is an awesome honor for me to introduce my friend, your president, my president, someone who has worked tirelessly for decades for the Métis Nation, for the Manitoba Métis community, for children, for elders, for veterans. The list goes on and on and on. And again, I have no doubt in my mind, without President David Chartrand, there is no way we're standing here today and honoring and celebrating the heritage, the capacity that has been handed down from us in the past from the first Métis government. Please help me welcome our friend, our president, David Chartrand.
Thank you very much, Will, for those kind words. It truly is an honor to be standing here in the same grounds and the same footing of where Riel walked in these particular soils. But let me start off by thanking Linda for that beautiful prayer. And you're absolutely right, MMF has always got your back. And I'm very pleased and honored to be here along with my cabinet. I truly miss Carolyn Bennett. Oh, she was here. She is here in spirit. She'll be speaking shortly. But because of her ability to ensure that the rules are being abided with COVID, she could not be here today. Otherwise, she would have walked here if she could have, to be part of this celebration. So it's great honor to always have Carolyn here with us at the Métis government. I remember when she first got elected back into power as a Liberal government, and when the Prime Minister Trudeau was, of course, our Prime Minister again on the Liberal era coming in after some very hard times under the ARPA regime. It was very important to see a government that would recognize Indigenous rights. And Carolyn got appointed as the Minister of Indigenous Affairs, basically, and she gave me a call. And all of a sudden my phone rang, and she said, "Hi, this is Carolyn." I said, "Hello, Carolyn, how are you doing?" She said, "Well, I want to ask you, so how do we want to start negotiating land claims?" That's what you want to see from a government, phoning you to ask you, how do you want to start negotiating land claims, you know? So not for us to fight and bust our way, get lawyers, and physically try to get to the table where we should be at all times. So Carolyn, I thank you for that. I'll never forget that phone call. It really impressed me about your leadership. Of course, I was very pleased to have the next person to my left here elected as a Métis citizen, and a boxer himself like me, and I wouldn't have minded to get around with him a long time when I was younger. But anyways, it's good to see Danny here, one of our Métis citizens who is actually a minister. And he knows how much we hoped and prayed that he'd become a minister one day and be able to influence this beautiful country we'll call Canada that we help build. Of course, Jim, is always a pleasure. I'm very, very pleased. Jim is fighting cancer and he's overcoming it. He's a scrapper. Cancer's got a hell of a battle here if they want to beat him up, because he's not going to give up no matter what hell comes his way. So it's great to see Jim here today. And of course, you have the great fortune of having these other leaders here. Now, they gave me, Terry, I don't have all of his credentials, but he's everywhere. Terry is everywhere you look, you'll find him. And he's somewhere in some committee, he's doing something. And this next guy to him, the little guy from the North End, who keeps on beating all odds and winning all elections, it's good to see, of course, him here. Kevin, I'm very pleased. He was very pleased, and I called him yesterday. I said, "Kevin, you've got to be there. You've got to be part of this process." And you're always been there for the Métis when they need you, and they call you take. And he's always fought his way. He works late hours in Parliament. If you're boring like me and you watch these damn CPAC, and sometimes you'll still see him late at night debating amongst himself with one guy on the other side of all those 100 seats in there, so 300 seats. But anyways, let me start off on what we're here today. I wish that COVID was not here to steal such a time of reflection, a time of history. I wish all of the locals can be here today, all the executives that work so hard at home and around the communities that we represent across this province. And I'm very proud that Cabinet was able to be here. Every one of Cabinet showed up, and I'm very pleased to see them here today, because they're the ones that work in the backgrounds. They're the ones that are really diligently ensuring that they have the Federations at their best of heart, but they also have your President's back. As I have your back, they have mine, and they're there to make sure that we move our agenda forward on a constant. So it's great to see all this great looking team here together. And we talked about it this morning. I said, we look at our ages, we're aging, man. There's another generation coming after us, and I hope they understand what that fight is all about, why we do what we do. But this particular grounds you heard Clement speak on, this is Upper Fort Garry. This is where this man, this statue man right here beside me, stood on these grounds as a young man, a young man. He's 24 when he took over. And you look at history and what he was able to accomplish. You look at what he was able to do. He was able to come back, help his people. He could have just left and probably made a career about himself and moved into the field. He was supposed to be a priest. That's what in fact, the churches paid for him to go to school in Quebec. So when you look at the whole aspect of what he was to be and what he did become was two separate things. He was really a strong believer in God. He prayed vigorously. He never carried a weapon. He carried a cross. In all battles across our homeland, he had his own military behind him, but he carried a cross. It wasn't about him to go shoot people. He was there to be the leader and negotiator. And he was a very, very clever man. Very smart. He outsmarted the country of Canada when he established the provincial government here 151 years ago. But the fact is this: even though he created this beautiful province, helped build this beautiful country we call Canada we all love, they would not recognize his government. They would not give him even the decency of recognize his government. In fact, they went against his government and argued vigorously for over a century that his government had no standing, had no right to be a government in the prairies, had no right to be standing here speaking on those people that were clearly the majority of Métis people in the prairies. There was about 10,000 of us here in the Red River, and there was over 2,000 of non-Métis citizens, and there was very, very small population of First Nations left in Manitoba. But it was Riel who had a dream. He had a vision, and he wanted to ensure not only for us, but for all minorities that they could come into this beautiful country. But he was also afraid that we would get swamped. And I'm going to speak on that on my closing. That we would get swamped and that people would forget who we are, our place in Manitoba, our place in Canada, and our right to the lands that we had built. That was a fear he had way before we see it happening here today. But what's important to recognize, that even though they do not recognize his government for 151 years, today, when Carolyn Bennett puts that ink on that piece of paper out in Toronto where she is right now, and I put that ink here along with Leah, that will tell you that finally, 151 years ago, justice being found, justice is going to be achieved, and we are ourselves as we were 151 years ago. We've always been a government, and no one will ever take that from us. We are the only truly recognized government province-wide in this country of Canada. That is a powerful statement being made by Canada. This is a legal, legitimate document, and I hope that every party listening out there, Conservative, NDP, Green, you name them, if they're listening out there, I ask you now, if you're going to challenge this agreement, challenge it now, before the elections. Challenge it before all Canadians and all Manitobans that you do not believe in Métis rights. Because if this comes to pass, I better not hear a government coming against us later saying they don't recognize this agreement like they did to us in Kelowna. This cannot happen, and we can never allow it to happen. One thing they must remember, there is nothing in this country that's ever been given to the Métis Nation without us fighting for it. Nothing. Everything we have achieved, we have fought for. Everything we've achieved, we have to vigorously put our plans together and unite ourselves to fight for a common cause. And we've been successful, although one day think they better understand one thing, we never give up. 151 years, we didn't give up. 142 years in the courts for land claims, we didn't give up. Took us 32 years fighting in the courts to win our land claims. They better understand the Métis Nation, the true Métis Nation of the Red River, that we will not give up to anyone, whether it's any party in this country, even Liberals. We will not give up to no one our rights and our place in Confederation. It is ours, we earned it, we bled for it, and we died for it. This is a country we built, a province we had built as a people, and we will defend it with everything we got. And I'm so proud to know that we have a government that finally, a prime minister we prayed for. And I pray a lot. People understand that. I pray a lot in evenings. My wife can attest to that. I pray at night before I go to bed, and I say good morning to my mom every day. And I always ask Riel to guide me with the proper words, the proper message that I should bring to not only my people, but to the country and to the world, who we are and what it is we are fighting for. Why is it we fight vigorously to find our place in Confederation? Why is it so important to us that we be recognized as a self-government? We've always been a government. I've told this to Carolyn, knows my position on this. I don't need a federal government to recognize me as a government. I am a government. But on the legal format of this country, how it's built on the concept of its laws and its processes, it only makes it easier when a federal government comes on board to say, we recognize the self-government of me. And this is now. I don't have to climb any other hopes. We are moving on our next phase of the treaty, and I want to say this to the people listening at home. This is not a treaty that you'll fall under the Indian Act. We are not First Nations, we're the Métis Nation. This treaty we are moving on, and I anticipate by the fall, we will get it passed in Parliament. This self-government document, which is official today, stands very clear. The Crown says the Métis government is the government of all Métis people in the Red River. That is who we are, and that is what we are going to stand to protect. And I want to thank you, Carolyn, for not backing away ever on this issue, standing up, fighting for our government, because we had some fisticuffs back and forth, but at the end of the day, we came to a conclusion. But I want to thank people. It's very important in our culture we thank the people that are out there. I want to thank the bureaucrats that nobody talks about sometimes, because we politicians sit at the forefront of everything. I want to start off by thanking my own team first. I want to thank, of course, Al Benoit. He had an operation. He can't be here today. He's at home, and he's probably sick as sick can be, beyond his own pale of really being going through a challenge after the operation, to be here, because he helped build this entire document we're about to sign, which is this nice, beautiful document. It's going to be gray, and then we sign it officially. But this document is the document that makes it clear that the Crown makes it very clear, legitimately, legally, that the Métis government represents self-government for all Métis people in Manitoba. And I don't have to change my constitution. I don't have to change the definition. The definition is what we accepted in 2002. That is the definition we apply. And we can accept our people from the Red River no matter where they live. Whether they live in the West, whether they live in Germany if they moved out there, whether they lived in the United States, they can always come home. That's the beauty of the self-government. They will always be able to come home. So thank you, Al, for all that hard work you do. Jim Aldridge is out in England, I believe, our lawyer. He moved out there. I want to thank him. Michael Welters, Murray Trackenberg is here somewhere in the crowd. There he is. David Gray, Genevieve, our new lawyer, Métis lawyer, one day will be fighting at the forefront. Stand up, Genevieve, Al's daughter. She'll be fighting for our Métis rights. Zach Harder, a new young up-and-comer, a nice, great policy writer. He's somewhere, there he is. He sits like he's 80 years old, but he's still a great policy writer. And of course, my brother Mark Leclerc, who is always at the forefront somewhere fighting for our cause. Mark, it's always an honor, you and I, fight for a cause. And for Canada, on your behalf, Minister, I'm sure you're going to thank all of them. Joe Wild, Deborah Korber, Lee Grigas, Christine Evangelist, and the list goes on. So I want to thank each and every one of them in Ottawa for fighting the fight, but working together, united, to find the common cause to agree with disagreement. So I will be speaking more at the end, but I want to make it very clear. This is something that no one else has in this country. And it's something that I think the country is proud of. I think this government is proud of. That the innovation, the ability to think outside the box is finally being looked at sincerely by the government of Canada. The traditional way would be 20, 50 years of negotiation before we achieve an arrangement. This took a year and a half maybe of negotiation, Carolyn. And other agreements, if you've seen in this country, have taken decades upon decades to achieve. And it shows if you have your mind in the right place, your heart in the right place, you can achieve anything in this country we call Canada. And it's very clear that this is just the beginning. We'll be talking about taxation, we'll be talking about fiscal transfers, but at the end of the day, Canada will always treat us as a government, not an organization, not a corporation. They will treat us as a government. And I expect Canada that you, Carolyn Bennett, along with these 4 powerful MPs here from the Liberal Party of Canada, will send a message to all bureaucrats. We're not an organization anymore. We never have been. You forced us into that position. We are a government. We've always been. And our veterans have proven that over and over again, fighting for the cause somewhere for our country they love. Now it's time that the Métis Nation are back home where they belong, sitting in the table of confederation and being part of self-government. So my friends, on behalf of the Cabinet, on behalf of our Métis Nation across this beautiful province, I'm so honored and so proud that we've done this man, Riel, Louis David Riel, that we have bought justice for him. Even though we bought justice on this land claim, we achieved that at the end. They didn't want to recognize this government when he formed this government right here in this ground 151 years ago. Again, we brought self-government home to him, that we are now there truly recognized as self-government, which they wouldn't give him 151 years ago. So again, it's something to be very proud of, and I look forward to the signing, and I look forward to the message by Bennett, and then of course Danny Vandel. And me and Leah are just eager to put our ink on the piece of paper to officially ratify it, that once and for all, there'll be no doubt in this country that the MMF is the government of the Red River Métis and will always be there to protect our people. And as you said, Elder, we'll always have their back. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, President Chartrand. As he said, he is going to have some closing remarks, and I'm sure he's going to have some more fire happening here, because when when he started getting a little more excited here, I looked behind, and they've got this mural behind us, and it's got lights, and there's all of a sudden the flames started coming up when he was speaking there, and it started getting like we're getting like evangelists happening here. We're going to the Métis Nation is rising, and I think that's there's no doubt about that. Let's have another big round of applause for President David Chartrand. There was one thing before I introduce our next speaker. There's one thing David Chartrand was talking, President Chartrand was talking about, was how we're not an organization. And I thought there was another thing that we're not, that maybe some folks need to hear down the street, is that we're also not a special interest group. And I think everyone sort of knows what I'm talking about there. So when I was introducing the head table, the person who is on screen here, I missed her because she's on screen. I couldn't see her very well, and I apologize for that, Minister Bennett. We are going to hear some words from Minister Carolyn Bennett, who has, as President Chartrand said, worked with the Métis Federation for years and years. I also remember when she was in opposition, and she came to our annual assembly, and the words that she spoke were words of friendship, words of partnership, that the Liberal Party at that time in opposition would be working with the Métis Nation to help fulfill the dreams. And here we are today, and I think there's no doubt that we have accomplished a lot in the last few years since Justin Trudeau, his members of Parliament, and his cabinet have worked really hard in partnership with us. So with that being said, we've got some technology going on here. Got some folks that are going to make it work, and I'm going to turn the microphone over to Minister Bennett, and it is my trust that everything is going to work on this end.
Merci, hello, bonjour, thank you, Will, and merci, Elder Linda Saint-Cyr for starting us in such a good way with your opening prayer, and merci to Michael Odette, that fiddling really had everybody's hands clapping and chair dancing, and this is a proper Métis event, and je me joins à vous aujourd'hui de ma maison à Toronto, sur le territoire traditionnel des Mississaugas de Credit, où nous honorons tous les peuples autochtones qui ont pagayé sur ces eaux et dans les mocassins on parcourt ces tâches. I want to acknowledge that all of you are gathered where I'd rather be, on the traditional territory of Treaty 1, but the homeland of the Métis Nation. I also want to acknowledge, as has been referenced, the historical significance of where you are all standing today at the junction of the Red and Assiniboine rivers, a site of particular importance for Métis history in Manitoba and in Canada. Where you are standing today was the founding place, as the President said, of the Métis Provisional Government, led by Louis Riel, who negotiated the province of Manitoba into confederation within Canada. Today, we are forever grateful for his vision, his leadership, and his sacrifice. I'm so pleased to be able to be with you, even virtually, with President Chartrand and the Manitoba Métis Federation leaders. We and all of Canada are inspired by your passion and your devotion to advancing rights and well-being for the Manitoba Métis community and its citizens. I also acknowledge President Chartrand joining us on this important occasion, and of course my colleague Dan Vandel, Minister of Northern Affairs and proud Métis citizen, and our parliamentary colleagues Jim Carr, Terry Duguid, and Kevin Lamoureux. I think, as the President said, it's really important that we take the time to congratulate and thank the negotiators who got us to this day. For the Government of Canada and the Manitoba Métis Federation. For Canada, Deborah Corber, Lee Grigas, Christine Evangelidis, Ken Ketchum, and Diana Kwan, and Pierre-Luc Lavoie. For Manitoba MMF, Jim Aldrich, Al Benoit, and we hope he's feeling better, Jean-Pierre Benoit, Zachary Harder, Murray Trachtenberg, and Marc Leclerc. And today we're really just here to acknowledge that thanks to your hard work, the leadership, President Chartrand, and your cabinet, we are able to celebrate this historic milestone. Votre travail met l'héritage de Louis Riel, une d'égalité et de justice, en action et qui proclame maintenant que la nation métisse n'est plus un peuple oublié. La nation métisse sort effectivement de l'ombre. In 1885, Louis Riel said, "I have always believed that, as I have acted honestly, the time will come when the people of Canada will see and acknowledge it." Today, Canada is seeing and acknowledging it. As we know, and as Canadians have been reminded these past few weeks, Canada has a long way to go to bring an end to the legacy of colonial violence still being felt today, recognizing its current consequences and working in partnership with Indigenous peoples on the path to healing. Our government is committed to building a new type of relationship with Métis by advancing reconciliation, providing opportunities and respecting your traditions, language, and culture. The agreement we're signing today is the result of a genuine co-development process in true partnership with your nation. We are proud of this demonstration of a new way of working together, government to government. The agreement is historic and represents a critical step along the Manitoba Métis Federation's path towards self-government. The agreement advances the Manitoba Métis Federation's right to implement self-determination and self-government. Through this agreement, Canada recognizes the Manitoba Métis Federation as the government of the Manitoba Métis, as well as its jurisdictions over its own affairs, including citizenship, leadership selection, and government operations. Ce sont des fonctions essentielles de n'importe quel gouvernement. Et je suis si fier de faire partie de la cérémonie de signature aujourd'hui. The agreement is one step in delivering on the commitment that we made in the 2016 Framework Agreement to advance reconciliation with the Manitoba Métis Federation. It also follows the spirit of the UN Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. Signing the agreement today is a big step, but it's also part of a larger process that would see the Manitoba Métis Federation recognized as an Indigenous government in Canadian law. I am looking forward to continuing this process and working together with you to achieve true reconciliation based on a relationship of respect, cooperation, partnership, and the affirmation of your rights. Today, we all share in the pride of this achievement as we move forward on our shared path of reconciliation towards an ever stronger and more vibrant Métis community in Manitoba in the years and decades to come. As Louis Riel said, we must cherish our inheritance. We must preserve our nationality for the youth of our future. The story should be written down to pass on. Today, we are participating in a ceremony that we all have confidence will indeed be written down. Aujourd'hui est une journée que vous serez en mesure de passer aux jeunes de votre futur. Congratulations on all of your hard work that got us to this day. Today marks another important step forward to the strong future in partnership between Canada and the Manitoba Métis Federation. Merci, thank you, merci beaucoup.
Thank you so much, Minister Bennett. Much appreciated, and we do honestly wish that you were able to be here with us today. And as President Chartrand says, when we are able to get together, we will definitely have a very good celebration for the achievements that we're doing here today. Much appreciated to see you. We have one more speaker, and then we're going to get into the signing ceremony, but it is a very great honor and to introduce my friend, Minister Dan Vandal. It's hard sometimes when you're friends with people who are in power and who have been elected and been given responsibilities. I just want to call him Danny, but he's Minister Vandal. So that, and I feel the same way when people talk to me, and I don't even recognize it when they call me that. But thank you very much, all of you, for coming here. But we do have Minister Vandal, who's going to be bringing opening remarks, and after that we will be having the signing ceremony. So please, everyone, help me welcome your friend, your cousin and mine, Minister Dan Vandal.
Oh, thank you so much. Merci beaucoup. Please call me Danny. Welcome to the homeland of the Métis Nation. Bienvenue à la terre ancestrale de la nation métisse. I am so very proud to be here on behalf of my community, Saint-Boniface Saint-Vital, and as Minister of Northern Affairs for this incredibly important event. Je suis tellement fier d'être présent ici comme le député fédéral de Saint-Boniface Saint-Vital et le ministre des Affaires du Nord pour cet événement qui est incroyablement important. Je tiens à remercier mon ami David Chartrand and the Manitoba Métis Federation pour leur dévouement et leur excellent leadership. Je vous remercie de m'accueillir aujourd'hui en compagnie de ma collègue, la ministre des Relations courantes autochtones, Carolyn Bennett, as well as the incredible Manitoba caucus, who have from the very beginning been in the corner of the Métis Nation. Je tiens également à saluer le président Chartier du Métis National Council qui se joint à nous aujourd'hui en cette occasion importante. Et tout d'abord, je souligne le rôle directeur de Manitoba Métis Federation pendant la pandémie, compris le travail remarquable de nos aînés, du président Chartrand et son cabinet, ainsi que les employés dévoués de la Fédération des Métis du Manitoba. Depuis plus que 2 siècles, la communauté métisse du Manitoba, qui fait partie de la grande nation métisse, a exercé son autodétermination et son autonomie gouvernementale avec succès. Elle l'a fait par l'établissement des structures de gouvernance, en adoptant et en appliquant des lois et en suivant les traditions de la nation métisse. Elle a continué de le faire aujourd'hui. With the leadership of the Manitoba Métis Federation, you have fought for recognition and the rights of Métis in Manitoba. You have worked hard to create the space for Métis in the realm of politics, in society, and in the economy. And in doing so, you have enabled people to thrive. You have brought Métis culture to the national stage and helped connect Métis across the province, bringing them together as a community, and for that, I congratulate all of you. And today, I'm so very pleased that we are taking the important step on the new path towards our new relationship. As the President said, this was not always this way. I remember when there was a service station at the corner of Broadway and Main Street. And I remember as a city councilor where we fought hard, determined, because they were going to build a 25-story condo about 18 inches away from the gate. All along the way, we have fought and we have succeeded. Signing the Métis Self-Government Recognition and Implementation Agreement is such a very important milestone. And I want to thank Minister Carolyn Bennett for her incredible work and advocacy on the stage, behind the scenes, and throughout the entire way. Without her, this would not have occurred. There was a lot of hard work to get here, but the work continues. With this agreement, Manitoba Métis Federation and Canada confirm their commitment to a collaborative process to advance reconciliation, as well as renew and enhance our nation-to-nation, government-to-government relationship based on recognition, affirmation, and implementation of rights, as well as respect, cooperation, and partnership. There's a lot of work left to be done, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what the future brings for the Manitoba Métis and for the Government of Canada. The Canadian government, our Canadian government, will be there with you in partnership and in solidarity. And once again, I congratulate you on this amazingly historic day. Merci, thank you, et merci.
Thanks, Dan. Thank you very much, Minister Vandal. Everyone, let's give another round of applause for Minister Vandal. It is really quite refreshing. I know we don't want to get used to having a federal government that works with us, but it is pretty darn cool to be able to do that, and to be here on such an amazing day. So now we are getting to the point where we're going to be putting the ink on the paper. What we have in front of President Chartier is 4 copies of the agreement. Minister Bennett has copies in front of her as well. It's my understanding that she will be signing. Obviously, with the minister not being able to attend today, there will need to be transportation to bring the signed documents to both parties to sign. But from our end here, we have... Yeah, that's a good idea. We have obviously President David Chartrand, who will be signing on behalf of the Manitoba Métis Federation and the Manitoba Métis community. And then beside him, we have Minister Léa Laplante, who will be the witness. And I have to say that it gives me great pride to be able to stand up here and watch this, but also to see my colleagues. And we even have the fire department who is excited about this. There's the ambulance. They just want to make sure that everybody hears what a great job the Métis Nation is doing here, and the federal government alongside in partnership, nation to nation, and government to government. So with that being said, Carolyn, I believe we are going to let you do the first signature. Gloria Chartrand, please come to the stage. We have one signature in Toronto. And here comes President David Chartrand. Everyone, yes, let's stand up, and that's this is historic. You're going to be remembering this for generations to come. Minister Laplante. We have a camera back here where Minister Bennett can see what's happening. So we have 3 more to go here.
French and English.
French, we have 2 French versions and 2 English versions. As I said before, President Chartrand, we will be having a gift exchange.
Do I sign my name in French or do I sign it in English?
You sign your name both ways, if you could, please. Yes. David Chartrand. We will be having a gift exchange shortly after the signing. President Chartrand will present to Minister Vandal and vice versa. Looks like Minister Bennett's ahead of you there, President Chartrand. It's not a race, though. It's been 151 years, and I think we can take the time to do this properly. Okay, everybody who's at home on Facebook and YouTube, you better be standing up and clapping too, because this is amazing. You will remember this. Wow, okay, now this is the next phase. Like, we're in uncharted territory. We're doing some new stuff here. This is fantastic. But for today, we're going to have a gift exchange. And I would like to ask President Chartrand to come forward. We have gifts here, one for Minister Vandal, one for Minister Bennett, who I am sure that Minister Vandal will give it to her. We can trust him. I hope he's a Minister of the Crown. And then we also have, I believe Minister Vandal has a gift here as well. This one's for Danny, okay, and the other one's for Bennett.
Okay. We speak after, yeah?
And after the gift exchange.
Okay, on behalf of course, in our culture, the Métis culture, we always give gifts when people visit our homes. Even though we're very poor people, we still try to honor them either with the best meal we can provide, with whatever. In fact, I'll give you a quick story. My mom, because we grew up very, very poor, and my mom raised us by herself, and there was 8 of us. So she washed clothes basically for a living. When she had a few bucks, she'd buy butter, and butter we could not touch. It was kept in the fridge, and it was kept for non-Indigenous people when they came to our home. So she'd have to show some pride that we can actually provide the butter, some bread in Bannock, homemade bread, and a meal. So I used to look at that butter a lot of times and wish I could eat it, but we had to save it because we had no money. So, but she also we had great pride. So, my mom, if you're watching, I hope you remember those hard days, and I thank you for the love you've given us and what you made become. But in our culture, gifts are essential. And one of the gifts that we're going to give here, and Danny will show you shortly, is the first gift to Danny, and one to you, of course, Bennett, that's coming next. And Danny will bring it to you when he gets to Ottawa, or you're going to have to personally come here in my office to get it. So, but this is a part of who we are. And this is such an important aspect, and I want people, when you see this in our work, when you walk around, you see Mark walking around his beautiful vest, you see mine walking around, you see Will, all the work that you see here, Janine is here in the crowd, you see her great historical work. Our message is here. This is who we are. This is the story of our people. You'll always have beaded work of the Métis of the prairie flowers, always in our history of 200 years and more. You'll find beaded flowers that always have the prairie flowers, and nowhere else in the world does it come but the Red River. That's where it comes from. So when you see these, don't just look at the fancy colors. There's actually a message in each and every one of them that sends either a gift of caring, a gift of helping, a gift of sharing and caring, that you want the best for the person you're about to give. So this gift was done by some craftsmen, and I'm not sure who the author was at the end. I think Anita worked on this, or somebody worked on this, Amanda. Who was the... Oh, Jackie. Okay, Jackie is also famous, second famous to Janine. Janine is the most famous of in our beadwork families, but Jackie has been producing beadwork for many, many years. So on behalf of that artist, we want to give this to Danny to carry in Ottawa in his office. So when people walk in there, they know they're seeing a Métis minister or somebody that has an affiliation of relationship with the Métis government. So Danny?
Oh, thank you, David.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Here, I'll take it out, eh?
Yeah.
This is a picture.
Yeah, take it out. Show the people. So we gave you.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Thank you very much, Danny.
Thank you so much.
So you're carrying that very proudly in your office. And the next gift we're going to give, of course, is to Karen Bennett. All right, so you see your office, most of you can see it, that you see the sash. Karen always tries to depict a message to all the Indigenous people that she represents. And this one is to her. And I'll have the opportunity of just opening it on her behalf and showing her what she's missing because she's not here. Here you go. This is what ours will look like in our office. This is from the Métis government. Purple, my mom's favorite color. You'll see a lot of purple in my beadwork. It makes a powerful message to of course, our prairie flowers, Carol, and you'll hang this proudly in your office. And when people go to see you, they know you had some relationship with the Métis of the prairies.
My turn?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Subscribe. Read the inscription, please.
This is inscribed to Minister Carolyn Bennett in the commemoration of the Manitoba Métis Self-Government and Implementation Agreement between Manitoba Métis Federation and Her Majesty the Queen in right of Canada. President David Chartrand and Cabinet. Beautiful. Our gift is Métis Floral Bead Art by Ms. Terry Spear, owner of Sisters Leather and Fur, a Manitoba Métis company that is very beautiful. So I'll present this on behalf of the Government of Canada to President David Chartrand and the Manitoba Métis Federation.
Can I open it?
Yes. Yes.
It's a picture of Danny. No, I'm just joking. It's beautiful. You can see this. In fact, this is gaining more and more notoriety around Canada and different parts of the world. You'll see the prairie flowers starting to generate on even non-Indigenous people using them now. So I think we better be careful that people don't start stealing our beautiful prairie flowers. Thank you again.
Well, it's starting to feel a little like Christmas here, even though it's July. So that was great. Thank you, every speaker, for your kind words. Thank you to our members of Parliament who are here to take part in this. It means an awful lot to each and every Métis citizen that you show your support for us by being here, representing the government, but also in standing with the Métis Nation and the Métis government. And I would like to say that to everyone who is here today. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for those at home who are watching. We do have closing remarks from our president, and I am sure that you're going to want to stick around because there's going to be some he's just one of the best speakers I've ever heard in my life, and I know that we're going to hear some more awesome words from him. I just wanted to say that after he speaks, we're going to be having a closing prayer, so I don't want you to go anywhere. I will introduce the elder at that time, but in the meantime,
I have great fear of the future and the concept of others that will see our achievements, that will see that we're advancing to a new era. And I always remind people to reflect their thoughts. What does it really mean to have self-government? Let me say this to all those and I thank the media for being here today. Let me say to all those listeners and watchers out there, imagine for a second, 151 years ago this country acknowledged our provincial government and recognized Louis David Riel and his cabinet. Imagine that for 1 second. to prosper and grow with all of the energy and vision they had, and I praise them for the hard work that they had embodied with their people. And today in this province, they're one of the most powerful people in Manitoba, very influential to any government that sits to run this beautiful province. And yet we were pushed off of our land, chased off of our land. The reign of terror shred us to go to the west, to the south, to the north. We never went east, we went west. We went to a place to try to find peace and develop again. But again, another war happened in 1885 in Batoche. We knew our enemy there. 1816, the flag that you see behind the provincial Canadian, our flag trumps them all. That flag flew in 1816 in the first battle down Main Street here, known as the Battle and the Victory of Frog Plain for us, and the Massacre of Southern Oaks for Canada. They had to make us look like the villain. That tells you that our nation has always been proud of who we are. We stood strong to protect our identity. We took strong measures to protect our families, and our families paid a dear price for fighting to believe who they were. And I look today at what we've been able to achieve. I'm sincere about my prayers, praying for a prime minister that one day would come. One day they said there will be a prime minister. You know, our past leaders like Clement, Mark, John Weinstein, all those others, Harry Daniels, that were there at the negotiating table when they put the Métis and Confederation on Section 35 as recognized as one Indigenous people in Canada. Imagine that for a second. If that was not there, would this be signing today? Who was the Prime Minister at the time? Justin's father, Pierre Elliott Trudeau. We have actually come nearly full circle. He had a son who did not, according to his message, want to be a politician. And his dad did not want him to be one either. But he raised him a certain way to have a very certain effort of himself to believe in things. And one was to believe in Indigenous people. He came. Paul Martin was there. And we've seen it now with Justin Trudeau. No one has gone further than this Prime Minister in our history. No one has stretched their political neck as far as he has done and paid some prices to it. But there's not a Prime Minister in our history that has ever done what is being done today. If he did not have that vision and that strength inside of him to not be swayed by even some of his cabinet, I'm sure internally have different words about who we should be or where we should sit and how we should be recognized, but he's not backed away. He walks the talk. And I am very proud he's in Kawas today, signing an agreement with the First Nations of Kawas on child family services being transferred to them. But I look beyond that and I ask myself, Riel was a very religious man. And if you look at my prayers at night, I pray to him to guide me, as I said. But I also believe there's always somebody watching over us. Because throughout our hard times, our struggles, our ability, our attempt to even be recognized. Yet we're the founders of this province, and yet we gotta still fight. We got a province, and this right now, a premier doesn't want to recognize Riel. He did not mention Riel once anywhere, or did he ever recognize Riel in the celebration of 150 in this province, and he's the man that created this province, and yet he has the audacity to call himself the Premier of Manitoba. Anybody with their position of strength, authority, and any semblance of any respect would have at least had the decency to recognize the first Premier of this province. And he didn't. He wouldn't recognize the MMF, he wouldn't recognize us anywhere in 150. So this agreement doesn't tell me the battle is over, my friends. This agreement solidifies very clearly you will not treat me like an organization ever again. I have now legal backing. I was waiting for you to sign it, Carol, so I get bolder in my discussions and my statements. No, I'm just joking. You know me, I'll never back away from what I believe. But clearly at the end of the day, it's a new era for us. And for all of our citizens out there, the new change is there. We have never been able to give our students $5,000 to go to post-secondary education. Now we give 2,000 students a year $5,000 because of the agreement we have with Canada. We have now purchased, families have purchased nearly 600 houses in Manitoba that they own, because we give them the down payment because of the agreement with Canada. We have 700 families right now getting their houses rebuilt, fixed, so they can live another 10, 20 years, 30 years in their homes. Again, agreement with Canada. And we look at the daycare centers we're building right across this province. We're going to be creating hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of jobs. Time is changing. This is part of that time. The treaty will be here. And for all those listeners, you're not First Nation. Don't mix the word treaty with First Nations or the Indian Act. This is a treaty with Canada, and it was very clear during the era of the monarchy of Queen Victoria that when John A. Macdonald was trying to take this land that our leader, Lou Rail, stood on, when he tried to take it out, begging for a military from Britain to come and help him, the monarchy said, no, you are going to fix the uprising and treat the Indigenous people before we transfer that land. So we look at history. That history shows us there's a role to play for everyone, and we have to respect those that have given us so much. And we have a place in this beautiful province, and we will work with First Nations side by side. And if we have differences, I hope we will negotiate them out and work on them together. But at the end of the day, my friends, my cabinet here, you got so much to be proud of. And I'll tell you one thing for everyone, anybody in the Métis homeland, there's not a government like us. There's not a government as advanced as us, and there's not a government that our president can say out there their cabinet's got their back, because mine has my back 100%. So again, thank you very much, and I'm very, very proud. And I'll close off with a statement that Riel made, because I said, I fear the future in the sense of those to steal our identity. And it says this is Riel's vision. Before, back in 1870, we must seek to preserve the existence of our own people. We must not, by our own act, allow ourselves to be swamped. If the day comes when that is done, it must be by no act of ours. So that is what I'm fighting right now, and I'll prevent anybody from trying to steal our identity of who we are. We're the Red River Métis people, and there's no place you could find us but the Red River and Western Canada. So thank you very much.
Yes, everyone, let's stand up. Let's celebrate here today. Thank you, President Chartrand. Thank you, Minister Vandal. Thank you, everyone who was here today. So before we bring our elder up to close off, I just wanted to let the media know that there's going to be some availability down by the Fort Gate off to my left. You'll see Kat down there, she's waving her arms. So for President Chartrand, ministers, if you have or want to be available for comment, we're going to be doing that after the ceremony. But just wanted to say thank you to everyone who was here. And yes, that's right. And there's also going to be an opportunity to speak to Minister Bennett. Our IT crew is going to assist the media in doing that. So we'll make sure that, we'll just find our IT folks, our communications folks, when the media wants to ask her a question. But that being said, I want to say thank you very much to everyone here who was on the stage, everyone who did the hard work behind the scenes for years, the MMF cabinet who is here in full support, and all the people that President Chartrand spoke of. I just want to say that our friend Al Benoit, who is at home, give him a special nod as well, because he's worked for years and years and years to make this happen. That being said, I think my job is done here, and I would like to ask Elder Linda St. Cyr Sarek to come out and help us close today's ceremony with a prayer.
Will's job's done. Yay!